Hi crafty friends, this is card number 18 in Full Deck Challenge 3. The prompt for this week was junk. I've gone into my junk pile and collected a few items including these dress labels that I really want to use today. I didn't think about it too much, I just grabbed a few things. Those bright orange clothing tags will be sort of the color that I'm going to go with. They were random in the pick of junk. So I've got a couple of orange postage stamps, which are my constant. And then I've got another color stamp too, just depending where this card is going to take me. I don't have plans yet. And then my carryover item is going to be the cheesecloth from last week. And I'll show you another way to work with it this week. So to start, we're going to put down our base, which is our mini collage, which is the overall theme for this challenge. And I'm going to take a few bits from the pile and arrange them down onto the face of the card, remembering to leave one corner open so we can see that it is a plain card. This is optional. It's a challenge I have for myself because I tend to cover everything up. You can cover it all or you can leave it open. It's totally up to you. As per usual, I've gone into the making of this card without any idea of what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to put pieces down and just see what looks best before I start sticking anything down. A lot of times we tend to imagine the final product, and then while we're creating it, the final product doesn't always look as how we pictured it, and we can be a little bit frustrated. So I try to go in without really an expectation of what it's going to look like. I try to think of the things I want to maybe use on the piece, but I like to work quite intuitively and let the elements or the page lead me and let me sort of know what the next step is. It's a little less intimidating and frustrating that way. So I'm happy with a few bits that I've put down as part of my mini collage, so I'm sticking those down. I use Mod Podge. I tend to use Mod Podge a lot. I find it very versatile. I like using it as an adhesive and then also as sealer or like a protector over the papers, especially things like tissue paper where you're going to paint or add watery medium on top. I feel it creates a good surface. But of course you could use craft glue, glue stick, gel medium, anything you have. I've put the postage stamp down as part of the background here. It doesn't always have to be like the focal point. As long as I'm using my constant throughout, it doesn't matter where exactly I put it. I'm trying a few different elements to finish up the collage. I go back into my junk pile to see if there's anything else of interest. And I'm also looking around my desk. I tend to have little bits lying around. And I found this piece of tissue paper, which is from a vintage dress pattern. So I think I'm going to pop this all the way across. I like that it is transparent and you can see the underlying designs or text shining through. I've dried that well and now I'm going to trim off the excess. And now is a good time to tell you that next week's prompt is paper weaving. And then I have a pretty good idea for this dress label. It's pretty long. I'm going to make it into a ruffle. Running it under my sewing machine with white thread, it looks like this. I love it and I think it is perfect for today's card. I'm now going to work on the embellishments of this card now that the background is ready. I have that grey tag which I really want to use, also a clothing tag. I love it has an eyelet in it and a nice piece of thread or cord. And I love that the color is grey. I've just realized I actually hardly ever work in grey. So maybe this is the start of new things. And now for the cheesecloth. We're going to do something different. Using a paintbrush and gesso, we're going to paint on it. But I'm not going to cover the entire piece with gesso. I'm just going to dab it here and there. You could also do this with acrylic paint if you wanted to use a color. I'm going to go with white. That's what matches the theme of my card. And then I'm going to dry it. And it's going to look like this. It becomes a bit stiff with the gesso, and I think it looks amazing, creates great texture and dimension for your project. That cheesecloth will go down first. I love the little bits sticking up from underneath the other elements. I'm then putting my grey tag, my ruffle, and then I need to find something as a focal point. I was looking around my craft room trying to find something, and then I spotted this beautiful orange butterfly, and she's the perfect size, so I think she'll make a great focal point. If I remember correctly, this is actually a printable from Making and Creating, if my memory serves me well. Their link will be in the description box below. You can join the full deck challenge at any time. This is deck 3. I will put the playlists to the other 2 decks in the description box below. And if you're on Facebook, you can join my group. Just search full deck challenge group. And I really love how this butterfly looks there, and I'm actually loving the overall look of this card. I wasn't sure what I was going to get, but I'm pretty happy. I found this die cut also lying around from another project I did, I think, over a year ago. And I was thinking first, I need something black to contrast in the background. So I'm going to color a couple of these pieces of leaves from the die cut. I'm thinking the easiest way will be with ink. And I'm also going to leave some of that yellowy orange just for some additional texture in that background. I didn't actually intend to use it originally, but once I put it down under the other elements, I thought it looked pretty good. So going in with some black permanent ink and my blending brush, I'm just going to color some of those leaves. Of course, you could also paint it or use a marker. I just thought this would be the quickest. So I'm going to split these black leaves into 2 and put some on the top left and some on the bottom right, as we will need to create some balance. And that just takes it to a totally different level. I think I'm very happy with this. I'm going to stick it down. I'm going to use a clear craft glue for this, which allows me time to move elements around if I'm not quite happy on their placement, as the glue will take a couple of minutes to dry. I'm not taking all my elements off and then sticking them down one at a time. The elements are few enough that I can just sort of lift them and apply the glue underneath. There are different ways that you can work with your elements so you don't lose their positioning once you want to stick everything down, because we don't always remember where we had everything. But for today, this will work well for me. And then I thought to add one more stamp, that other one that I had, and I'm thinking I wanted to sort of stick off the top and the bottom a bit. So I'm going to cut it in half at an angle and place half of it at the bottom and the other half at the top underneath some of the other elements. Let me show you a close-up of this card. It actually turned out to be one of my favorites from the deck so far. I love all the different layers. I love that it's quite chunky. I'll show you now. I'll turn it to the side and you can see how nice and chunky it is. I personally love that, and I'm pretty happy with that outcome. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch. I really hope you enjoyed it and were inspired to create your own and even join in the challenge. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the little bell so you're notified every time I upload new content. Thanks again for watching. Happy creating, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.